Nothing? Today we have a fresh box of History Pack, and before we open it I want to talk about legendaries for a second. So it's pretty obvious that by far the best card that we can pull from a History Pack is a Skullbone Crosswrap. It's going to completely change the game, going to completely change the deck and improve it, and really take it from just like a little pokey casual Armoury deck to something that could properly do really, really well. In History Pack there are 10 legendaries. I'll try to put some numbers up on how it breaks down, but if one legendary is per 96 packs, and then we keep opening until we get a Skullbone Crosswrap, that's about a 1 in 960 chance, and that's also not even counting if they have Shiana in here, which I don't know if they do. If it does, it becomes like 1024 or something like that, and then who knows if that spot gets taken up by Eyes of Phidia, Heart of Findles, anything like that. So I'm going to be realistic here, and I'm going to say it's not possible, you know? It's going to be so unlikely that we get specifically a Skullbone Crosswrap that I think we need to think of something. So I've talked to a lot of people about this, I've asked how they felt about it, and I think we're going to make an addendum to a rule that if we open any legendary, it can be considered a Skullbone Crosswrap. I have one in my folder. Every time I open my folder it looks at me and it taunts me, so we're going to swap it for that one, but hopefully we don't need to worry about it. Hopefully we can just open one and we'll be good. But that's going to be the rule going forward. If you're not happy with that, you can let me know, but I think it's just being real, you know. 1 in over 1,000 chance is just too little. So we're going to open this one. History Pack now, surprisingly hard to get a hold of. Surprisingly hard to open. I'll need something to poke this. Hold on. There we go. History Pack's been surprisingly hard to get a hold of. Really kind of disappearing off shelves lately. I think because it's out of print and a lot of this stuff is going to become quite a bit rarer. But we managed to get a box, so we're going to open it 8 packs at a time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll put those aside, and hopefully we can just get the legendary straight away. I keep getting these Sikkim shots. They're not going to be useful. It's not going to be helpful. I don't think it's anything that a Falcon Wing can't do better, you know? Obviously we're just going to go a little bit faster through them. Scar for a Scar, probably not really useful. Technically playable. We're often playing at a life deficit, but we don't want to have a problem of bogging ourselves down in things that don't work. New Ira deck revealed, so maybe these could be really cool. More Sikkim shots. Still not anything useful. No, Iron Rock Gauntlet is actually not useful at all. It's not. We already have a battle worn equipment in the arm slot, so not needed. Blue Searing Shot. I don't think that it's better than any blues than we have. Hardened Crosstrap? Possibly? A Sink Below would be nice. I don't think it's going to be more useful than just being able to flip an arrow for 1 pitch and using that to fire. We don't have any arrows that cost more than 1 pitch anyway. Nullerin Robe. Oh no, that's actually the spot we already have the Arcane Barrier in. Ooh, a Crippling Crush. We'll take that. It's not the Majestic that we need. Really, that's probably something more like Remorseless. Now that we don't need another Written Ledger. I don't know why I forgot for a second. Yellow Sleep Dart. Nah, don't think that's needed. Do we think a Potion of Strength would be kind of funny? Headshot. Headshot could be okay if we want to look at just more damage. Spinal Crush. Okay, we get it. We're not going to be playing Guardian. Alright, so it's not been great. This is the last pack. Red Searing Shot. Now, a deck, I think it was Battle Hardened Jakarta. There was an Azalea that did quite well and they were running Red Searing Shot, so it could be useful. But other than that, it's not anything that we can do with. So, Red Searing Shot, Red Headshot, Sink Below. These really are the pickups for today. Do we feel great about it? Not really. I think we kind of walked around the thing that we need. I feel like we're really having a hard time opening the Bullseye Braces. I think that's what I actually really want. More Arcane Barrier and also perhaps a way how to load. It might sort of do the same thing that the arm piece that we already have does, but you can see in the Blitz episode how badly we lost to just wizards, so I don't think we can afford that because people are also getting back onto Kano again. So I stopped the recording and then thought, hold on, this feels a bit weird. Turns out that history pack, actually you get 36 boosters in a box, so we actually have 4 more to open, so we're going to do that. Kind of feels a bit better that way, get a bit more chances because it's not been great so far. Blue Sleep Dart we could consider. Azalea, hello. Take cover. I think red take covers would be quite nice, but not in a blue. A Razor Reflex. We can keep playing those. They're kind of fun. Talismanic Lens. Another Plasma Purifier. We're really getting all stuff to maybe make Dash IE or something. But Talismanic Lens we could consider. I've played around with the idea a little bit before. Definitely not the best headpiece that we can get, but just opting. Red Sikkim Shot. Another Snapdragons. Don't need it, thank you. It's a little bit better. Still kind of just getting Majestics for decks that we don't need. It's their only real problem. We'll play around for a little bit. So today we're actually going to have quite a few changes. We are going to put in the Talismanic Lens and the Target Totalizer. We're going to have both of them in. I think one of the biggest problems that we've had is that games against like Jarl and things like that, they're very inclined to just put their whole hand in front of our big arrows and prevent any damage that we can make. So we're going to try and work around it. We're going to have Target Totalizer for more aggressive matches like Aurora. That probably won't block and we can use that to draw extra cards, but we are going to use Talismanic Lens for more defensive and slow matches just so that we can constantly be seeing the top card of our deck and azaleaing into any arrows that we want. We've got a couple of other things in the deck this week to sort of side grade it in that direction, so we'll get to there when we get there, but I think that this kind of is going to help with the glaring issue of the deck is that we don't have access to Opt and Dominate, which we want the Legendary for, but this is going to help with that problem a little bit. For our attacks, we actually have changed a little bit. We've taken out our yellow Spire Snipings and swapped them for Ravenous Rabbles, which we got in both of the Armoury decks, so we have 6 of them now. What we're going to do, we're going to use this to flip top card and have a look at it. What I've been finding with Spire Sniping, and this is sort of a bit of a Murphy's Law kind of thing, it conflicts with having to load. You load with Death Dealer, draw a card, and I felt that more often than not it has been a non-attack action. I feel like it would be better to see the card and then be able to decide what you want to do with it. So we're going to try playing Ravenous Rabble. This might not stay around, but I think it's important to give it a shot, see how it feels. But yellow is out, red is in. Command and Conquer I feel like is almost running out of its time. I feel like we're kind of getting close to where we want to rotate it out, but it's still in here for now. Perhaps in a future week we might start moving away from it. For our non-attacks, nothing here has changed. I kind of feel that we're running low on non-attacks. I feel like we don't really have as much. We should aim for a closer spread between arrows and non-attacks. So we have a little bit to work on there, but I think if we manage to pull more premeditates or codex of frailties, which also basically represent an arrow, then we can swap them from arrows. So we take out arrows instead of taking out other non-attacks and improve them there. The only one here that I don't completely think is important is this yellow read the glide path. Perhaps it'd be good to replace that with something else, but the yellow is definitely not bad. It's +2 opt, which is really what we need the most. So I think here we're got a little bit more to hope for, but it's nothing we can change right now. For our sideboard, we've added in a couple of the pulls from today. We're adding the sink below. It's just a good defense reaction, and we have been clogged up with too many arrow hands before, or non-arrow hands. Basically, it's a rune blade problem. You can't get stuck with one or the other. We've taken out Amnesia. I've not gone against a Vincent. I know Vincent is popular. People like playing Vincent around in my locals, but I just think that people aren't on her right now. If we run into it and we find that it is a problem, we can add it back in. I don't really think that one Amnesia is going to fix that whole matchup for us or anything. They can still just put 2 cards in front of it and then banish one and then play something out. But I think it's okay to take it out. The other thing that we've taken out is the blue Widowmakers. It's not good enough. I've never looked at it and been like, this is a great chance to let Widowmaker shine. It's just, we aren't shooting to go for a long game. We are trying to end it quickly. Instead, what we've replaced it with is the second Razor Reflex. It catches people off guard. It's not terrible. It definitely has gotten things over before, and it sort of is a way how to mitigate the fact that sometimes we have a hard time getting to dominate, just shooting over. And if they are a deck that doesn't run defense reactions, we can often shoot over them anyway. And it does provide go again. You can use that to go into a second arrow, perhaps a 0 cost. So that's not bad at all. Deck is ready for another week. Let's go to Armoury.
You don't care about the value. That's not yeah. Oh, because FaB is that one, isn't it?
Yeah, we're just one bit away from the same.
Yeah, FaB is actually just a very good rate for a weapon. It's like 2 for 4, 2 for 5, that's super good.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially paired with like snappies.
Yeah, and like patch that like double prime.
That's not bad. Tonight is a bit of a strange one, and we start off by playing against Acilio, the strangest of all heroes. We only have access to one arcane barrier currently, but Acilio's damage often comes more from physical attack actions. Because wizard actions that deal arcane are typically under rate and we don't usually block physical damage, we're actually fine taking arcane damage as long as it doesn't facilitate a combo turn. So we want to focus on numbers. We went second, so we did have to take some damage to start, but our turn coming back is a dominated 13 withering shot. Acilio obviously doesn't have a weapon to attack with, but it could still temper their arsenal, but the damage is what actually matters here. Remember, Acilio plays a lot of instants, so we actually have a good chance of most of our attacks hitting, even if they're not dominated. For the first time we play Ravenous Rabble, which reveals a sleep dart on top. Because we don't have an arrow in arsenal, we would draw the arrow instead of being able to Azalea into it, but we have a strong combo anyway, where we follow with a red in the ledger, snapping our scalers, using our arms to load a stone rain, then shooting at dominated. I forget that Acilio has armor that actually blocks. It's like the only wizard dedicated piece that does, but he can still use it to block our stone rain. But this is like a powerful 13 damage turn, and he will be under red in the ledger for next turn. Because of this, he takes a setup turn and we have a healthy life lead. That doesn't mean game against a wizard, so we do need to focus on still outputting more damage. Here you can see that we've just hit him with a sleep dart, but Acilio is not really a hero defined by his hero ability, so he can still show off some moves here. He will break his arms, giving amp 1 whenever a sigil breaks and attack us for 8 with Eclectic Magnetism, which lets him play his next action as an instant, which will be a supercharged Comet Storm. It puts us down on life, but he's within range of 1 or 2 strong arrows finishing him off, so the game's pretty close to being done. Because the Celio is more aggressive and doesn't block that well, we took Target Totalizer into this game, hoping to get some draws, and this turn we Azalea into a Bolt and Shot, which we can give an aim counter from Crow's Nest and buff it with a Lace with Blood Rot. This will hit and we can draw, and we fire red in the ledger for another 8. This isn't dominated, but he has to 2-card block to stay alive. He'll then pitch the Blood Rot we gave him, meaning we have a 5-card hand to find 5 damage. While we can't dominate our arrow because we sequenced our turn a little wrong, we can still come in with an arrow for 13, catching Acilio with 3 non-blocks in hand and taking the first game of the night. Acilio seems like a really cool deck right now. I think when Aurora LLs, which looking at ProQuest so far is pretty soon, I'll look at making an Acilio, but that's going to be after the series is done, I think. Game 2 is against Florian. I don't know what your locals is like, but my armories, this Scepter build of Florian is really popular right now, so when they present the Scepter we already kind of know what we're in for. The Scepter of Pain build uses Channel the Millennium Tree to amp the Scepter, which says that when it deals damage, create that many rune charms, so they will be building up for one big turn, kind of like how OTK Viscera used to work. Because it's a very defensive build, we've brought in the Talismanic Lens to try and find arrows to dominate off the top of the deck so we can try close out the game early. On our starting turn, we can dominate a Written Ledger turn 0, which doesn't affect Florian that much, but it is guaranteed damage, which is the more important thing here. This also is a hero that Release the Tensions from Everfest would be really helpful for, so we can stop the defense reactions from Arsenal on dominated arrows, because they're very likely to just sit on an Arsenal card for a long time. Our second turn we will break our lens to Op 2, leaving the cards where they are, so we can Azalea into a Bolt and Shot, buffed from Blood Rot, load a second Bolt and Shot from hand, shoot that, buffed 2, then break our arms to load a Stone Rain and shoot that. This is 18 damage plus a Blood Rot we can force them to take, so it is a really good turn, even though they can block most of it out. It also strips their hand, so we can follow up with another dominated arrow for 12. We choose to use a Sedation Shot so they won't be able to keep a defense react in Arsenal and we can keep up the pressure. In these recaps, I try not to just list off all the turns I think are impressive, but I just want you to be aware of how strong we started this game. We even got to use our Razor Reflex to give Drill Shot go again and use the Codex to shoot another arrow for 5, making for a 15 damage turn. The follow-up is 11 dominated, and in a more traditional match this probably could have won us the whole game, but as long as we're seeing all the non-attacks now, this means that we're probably due to see a dead hand eventually, and we do hit it when we draw all arrows. For the next few turns we can only shoot for 5, and we also broke our Arcane Barrier for the extra pitch to fire a dominated arrow. And now with all the freedom in the world, Flori can just build up rune chants, whittle us down and then fire them for a guaranteed kill. This game I feel the most torn about because we had such insanely strong turns for the first half of the game, but we couldn't use them to close out a kill. It makes me really realize that we're missing enough non-attack buffs, so besides the skull cap, it's going to be a top priority for the next few weeks I think. The last game of the night is against Kano, and we only have one Arcane Barrier. Unlike the Acilio match, it matters a lot more here. We are going first, so we're going to be able to force some damage, but so will Kano. Unfortunately, this is just going to be about who sees a better combo first, but because Stormstriders and Kano's ability lets them play a turn and a half ahead of us, without Arcane Barrier it is most likely in Kano's favour to find it first. I think in the long run, Kano isn't a deck that we have to worry that much about. He has some silver bullets in the meta that are going to give him the worst time possible, mostly Aurora and Prism, so hopefully that will keep him out for us, but I don't think the match is even that good once we have all our Arcane Barrier. My local scene just has a real thing for Kano, so it is disproportionately represented here. This is the first game he's shown up in recording, but he has been at other tables while I've been playing. Anyway, because they found Lesson and Lava straight away, they can use it to search for a Stir of the Aether Winds and put it in Arsenal. They'll have their combo turn set up, and even though we can send off a second powerful arrow, Kano will just do Kano things, and they find enough pieces to kill us on the second turn of the game. This game was a coin flip, and unfortunately we couldn't get there first, so we finished our night 1-2. Tonight had some of the highest highs and the lowest lows we've seen since we started playing Azalea. It really showed what the deck could do when it worked well, and showed that not only is the deck getting better, but I'm also getting better at playing the deck. The first half of the night went so incredibly well, however an inability to close out our game against Florian and going into possibly our worst matchup did mean that we did only finish with one win tonight. I feel hopeful that with a little bit more touching up and a bit more luck, we can increase our win rate in Armoury. It just wasn't tonight as close as I feel it was. Thank you for watching. That's a seal.